Hey, what's up guys? Eric Thayne here from Cinema Mastery, and today we're going to be talking about pricing. All right, we're going to be talking about why you need to charge more as a filmmaker, as a videographer. Now, obviously, depending on where you're at in your filmmaking career, you might be just starting out as a beginner, you might be a little bit more advanced. That's totally fine, but in most cases, regardless of where you're at, I can almost guarantee you for most filmmakers, you need to be charging more for your work. Now you might be worried about like, well, is my work worth that? Or is like, why should I do that? And like, do I really need to charge more? And we're gonna talk about that today. Like, why is it that you really should be charging more and how it's gonna help you in your business to not only get better clients and higher paying clients, but also create a lot of other side benefits that you get from charging high prices for your work. So let's go ahead and jump right into it. So reason number one that you need to charge more as a filmmaker is that, frankly, you just get better clients. I'm sure you've had the experience, some of you guys, where you've had a client that has been like overly picky or overly tricky to work with or asking for lots of revisions. And for some reason, it seems to be that those clients, the ones that pay you the least, are always the ones that are the most difficult to work with. It seems like it should be the opposite, right? When you're doing work for free or for cheap, that those people should be the most grateful and they should treat you the best. But the reality is that it's completely the opposite. And I've seen that over and over again throughout my career. The people who pay me the most actually end up being the better clients that are easier to work with. I had a client once that I remember had hired me to do a music video for them, and I came up with all these ideas for this video, and I kept coming up with ideas, and they weren't paying me very much. And I kept coming to all these ideas, and I was trying to work within the budget and trying to make it work, with that small budget and still come up with something that's amazing, but they didn't like anything that I threw at them. And so they're like, no, that doesn't really work. No, that doesn't really work. And they weren't offering any of their own feedback. It was just like, no, just chopping it all down. And I remember getting so frustrated that I was like, why are you being so difficult? I'm coming up with all these amazing ideas, but it's not working out for you. And I ended up actually, with that client, I ended up actually firing that client. So I went back to them after so many times going through this process before we even shot the video. And I said, hey, look, this isn't working. I can't work with you. This is just not going to work. And it was one of those moments when I realized that like, that's what happens when you charge low rates for your work. When you charge low rates, you get lower quality clients because you are telling your client how confident you are or how unconfident you are by your pricing. So by charging low rates, you're putting yourself into a league, into a ballpark. And so it causes them to treat you at the same level of confidence that you are treating yourself. So that's reason number one, why you should charge higher prices for your video work. Number two reason why you should charge high prices or you need to charge more for your video work is that you're going to be able to produce a better product. Now, I'm going to talk about this on a few different levels. And one of the things is that like, just if you got a higher budget and if you're getting paid more, it just allows you to do more. Think of like if you take the rates that you're charging right now and imagine charging 10 times as much, how much more you'd be able to put into the production, how much more time you'd be able to spend, how much more gear or crew you could get to come and help you out, and what locations you could get, like all the stuff that you could do with having that higher budget. So when you charge more, it allows you to get the gear and the crew and the locations and all the stuff and the resources that you need to really fulfill the vision that you have in your head as an artist. So many filmmakers are amazing. Like you're so good at what you do and you have these visions, these incredible things, but you're limited by the budget. So you're not able to create the actual work that you want to create and that you have in your head because you have such a small budget. So I found out early on when I was starting out as a filmmaker that there's this kind of old thing that they say where you can basically have one of three things. You can have quality, you can have speed, and you can have price. So take your pick of the three that you want. And as a filmmaker, you can decide which of those three do you want to be your competitive advantage. And I chose early on, I remember when I was starting out as a filmmaker, I said, you know what? I'm going to be the quality guy, 100% the quality guy. It doesn't matter if it takes me longer and it doesn't matter if it's more expensive. I'm always going to go for quality. So when I have a decision that comes up, well, should I shoot this on a DSLR or should I shoot it on a RED camera? I always choose the RED. And then I go back to the client, I say, look, this is what it's going to cost for me to produce the highest quality possible. And naturally, that means that I'm charging higher rates for my work. But I kind of did this thing where like I would start charging those high rates and then I didn't back down because I had made that decision that I was going to be the quality guy. Now, on the flip side, in addition to being able to just produce a better product, the other thing that happens is that when you're charging higher rates, you can actually give your clients a better experience. Because if you're charging low rates, you have to get lots of clients in order to make money as a filmmaker. But if you're charging higher rates, you don't need as many clients. And so then you actually spend less time working, and you're able to give each of your clients a VIP experience. So what happens is when my clients who are paying me $10, $20, $30,000 for a video, when they call me, I answer the phone. When they email me, I respond within an hour. I am there 100% for them, and I'm able to do that because I'm not busy editing somebody else's project or on set shooting all the time. It allows me to take some of my time and not spend all of my time shooting and editing, but take some of my time and actually be a business owner and be the person who's building those client relationships. Now, number 3, why you need to charge more is your price says more about the quality of your work than the actual work itself. Let me say that again. Your price oftentimes says more about the quality of your work than it does about the price. Eric, what do you mean by that? Well, when you're meeting with your clients that are business owners, that are running businesses, that are, looking for video marketing services or need you to help them with some sort of video, a lot of times we as filmmakers, we obviously have a very keen understanding of quality and lighting and composition and camera work and everything like that. And we expect other people to have that same understanding. But the reality is that most of your clients don't really know what good filmmaking is versus bad filmmaking. They don't really have the eye to be able to look at something and say, that's good or that's bad. And so what do they do? How do they judge or determine whether your work is good or not? Obviously, some of it is in the actual quality of the work, but I would say that more of it actually comes from your price. And so when you have a client that looks at your work and they go, yeah, this looks good to me, right? It's video. It looks good. I don't know. Is there anything better out there? Like, it just looks like good video. And they ask you how much is it going to cost? And you come in and you say, well, it's going to be like, normally $500, but I'll do it for $200 this time. That instantly is going to be a signal to them that you're not confident in your work, and therefore it's probably actually not that good. And they might start thinking, maybe I should go look somewhere else. Whereas if they look at your work and say, wow, this looks really good, and they say, how much is it going to cost? And you say it's going to be between $10,000 and $20,000, then they're going, oh, wow, like this is the professional. This is the guy that I want to work with, right? Because they know what they're doing. So your price, the confidence that you give your price will actually say more about the quality of your work than the actual work itself. I had a story once. I remember when I was growing my business and I was really trying to get like really high paying clients at one time. And so I was kind of fishing for these higher paying clients. And I remember I was hanging out with a bunch of entrepreneurs and a bunch of like pretty high level business owners. And one night I was hanging out with them and I had a few of them that asked me what I do. And I was mentioning, like, talking a little bit about what I do and my video services and what I do and everything like that. And I remember I had one or two of them that asked me and said, so what do you charge for that? And I told them I charge between $50,000 to $100,000 per video, okay, for the type of video that they were talking about. And you would have expected them at that point to probably go, oh, well, that's way too much. Like, I can't do that. That's not, that's way out of our budget, or no, there's no way that you charge that much. That's what I would have expected. But actually the opposite happened. So what happened is when I said between 50 and 100K with confidence, I noticed that they became more interested. Suddenly they're like, oh, so tell me more about it. So what is it that you do? Can I see an example of it? Oh, wow, this is amazing. They started praising me and complimenting my work and talking about how incredible it was and how interested they were in getting something like that done. And granted, they did say, I don't know that we're at the level where we have that kind of budget, but that's incredible what you do. And so the crazy thing is, like, even if they weren't, they didn't become a client, they still had a perception of me and the quality of my work that was higher because I quoted them a higher price. Okay, number 3 reason why you need to charge more as a filmmaker. And this is kind of a funny one, but it's so important. The fact is that you don't need to, you have to. If you really want to grow your business as a filmmaker, and let's say you want to get to 6 figures, and then ultimately maybe to 7 figures, you have to learn how to charge high prices. Let's say you charge $1,000 for your work, okay? And for some of you, that's gonna be low. For some of you, that's gonna be like, that would be awesome. But let's say you charge $1,000 for your work and you're trying to make 6 figures in your video business every year. That means that you have to shoot 100 videos in order to make that 6 figures. Now, I don't know a lot of people that can shoot 100 videos in the year. I have heard of people doing it, but that's insane. That's a lot of shooting. That's a lot of editing. You're always getting the editing backlog. You're going to be busy all the time. It's going to be crazy, crazy, crazy. And so instead of shooting 100 videos a year, well, think about it this way. If you were to charge $10,000 per video, then you only need to get 10 clients per year. So which is easier to get, 100 clients or 10 clients? Yeah, 10 clients, right? 10 clients, it's so much easier to get 10 clients or 10 video projects than it is to get 100 clients, regardless of what you're charging. So if you really want to build your business and get to that 6-figure level as a filmmaker, you have to charge higher prices. Because otherwise, if you're charging, around $1,000 or even less, like you have to get 100 clients. And I just don't know a lot of people that have the stamina to shoot that much work every single year, year in and year out, and continue to get that level of clients. So you got to learn how to charge higher prices. Now, the cool thing about that is that learning how to charge high prices, it's actually a skill that can be developed. A lot of filmmakers think that if I want to get high paying clients, I just need to make better work and then put it out there and then hopefully somebody will call me, right? We call that hope and pray marketing. The reality is that the skill of charging high prices is a skill and it can be developed, it can be learned. And if that's something that you're interested in learning, I do have a free training that walks you through exactly that process and how that works. There's a link down in the description below. You can check that out. Click on it, go over to a new tab, open in a new tab, finish this video, and then you can jump over there and you can check that out. I'm sure you'll love it. Okay, last but not least, number 5, the last reason why you need to charge more as a filmmaker is this. And this is what I usually say, is that you're always losing clients on both ends of the spectrum. Now, what does that mean? Well, a lot of filmmakers have this belief that the more you charge higher prices, the more you're going to lose out on clients. As if the higher you charge, the more you charge the prices, the smaller the pool there is of clients that are going to be willing to pay those high prices. And while there might be some truth to that, and that's totally fine, and I get that, I want you to think about it a little bit differently. It's not necessarily so much that the more you charge, the smaller the pool gets. You've got to think about it as the less you charge, the smaller the pool gets as well. Why? Because you're always losing clients at both ends of the spectrum. So if you're charging right here, whatever that is, let's say it's $1,000 or it's $100,000, whatever it is, there are always going to be people who will say that it's too much, and there's always going to be people who will say that it's too little. Okay? So I met a guy once at a party, and it was just like a friend's party at a house when I was back in college. And I remember talking to him and telling him a little bit about what I do. And he was really interested. And we're talking about, video production. And he was running a business. And he said, we need video services. And we should talk and we should do this. And it was awesome. We're just we're vibing. We're talking about it. And everything's cool. And then at one point he asked me, he says, oh, by the way, how much do you charge? And I said, it depends on, how much the project is. It depends on a lot of things. But usually between $5,000 and $10,000. Now, at the time, that was the high end of my range of what I was charging. And so I was just trying to get those higher paying clients between $5,000 and $10,000. And so I thought that was a lot for a video. And instantly, when I said that I charged that much, he totally became disinterested. And I watched this, his whole physiology changed. And suddenly he was just whatever. And he wasn't interested, and then went off and talked to some other people or whatever. And it was weird. And I was wait, what happened? I guess it must have been too high. That wasn't interesting to him, because we charged too much. And I was man, I feel bad because I lost another potential client because I quoted him too high. Well, we ended up connecting later again that night, and came back and started talking about it. And he came to me and he said, have you ever heard of this company, which is another company out of Los Angeles, another production company that I had actually heard of? And I was oh yeah, I have heard of them. He says, we're thinking about working with them on our video project. And I knew for a fact that company charged a minimum of $100,000 per video. And so what happened is I didn't lose the client because my prices were too high. I actually lost the client because my prices were too low. See, here's a client who had an expectation of paying $100,000 for a video. And when I came in and told him that I charged $5,000 to $10,000, he instantly put me in a category, into a league that was lower than where he was at, and became disinterested in working with me. It's kind of like we talked about earlier, about how the price of your work actually says more about the quality of your work than the actual work itself. In this instance, he became disinterested and thought that our work was not good enough and we were not at the level of quality for his company because I didn't charge enough. So think about it. You're always losing clients on both ends of the spectrum. All right, there you go, guys. There's my 5 tips or 5 reasons why you need to charge more as a filmmaker. If you want to learn more about how to charge high prices, how to get high-end clients that will pay you really well to shoot really beautiful cinematic commercial films, check out the free training down in the description below. It's 100% free. It's like 30 minutes long, and I'll walk you through step by step exactly the process that I follow to get these high-paying clients that will give me the creative freedom to create really beautiful storytelling, commercial narrative work like the work that I create. So if that's something that's interesting to you and you're a filmmaker that really wants to grow your business and start scaling this year, check out that link down below. And for all of you, I will see you on the next video.